made this song?
I got a professional guy.
A fiver.
No, someone in Chicago. Someone was recommended.
That's
amazing.
I
wanted the genuine pony, pony, but like a unlicensed version. So this is what they came up with. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the SAP Podcast. As always, it's Dave, Neal, Tasha, Courtney, and Shannon Dee is in the house.
What up?
Good to have you.
So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
We can't believe it's been a couple years since you've been on the podcast. Lots to talk about. I want to let everyone know we are going to talk a little Bachelor in a little bit because you're a fan of the show.
Huge fan.
Huge fan. Have to be. Might get you on the show. I don't know what you're dating. Are you?
No.
Are you taken?
Yes, taken. It's our 6-year anniversary on Tuesday.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank
amazing.
you.
That's quite an accomplishment. 6 years is a long time.
It is. It's crazy.
I was gonna make the case that if you weren't in a serious relationship that you get on there, but I guess 6 years you found a man, you found a guy.
Yeah, and I would never, ever, ever do
Couldn't
that.
do it?
No, because I'm an actor, and it's just like career suicide if you want to be a actor. I mean, if you want to be like a host or
an influencer
and things like that, then it's a great career, but I would never be taken seriously again.
Yeah, there's never been somebody who's gotten anything from that show other than Nick Viall.
I was going to say.
Like played a small role in a Lifetime movie, but it's almost ironically like he will get cast because they know he'll get 100,000 extra people will watch it because of him.
Exactly.
These people went from no name, and I'm sure they had, careers that were just fine in whatever field, but they've all managed to pretty much, anyone who's like gone pretty far, done well, stuck around for a while, is known by America.
Totally.
Is now like mega successful in whatever they do. Podcasts.
Super rich,
influencing, whatever, their own clothing line, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, good for them. It's definitely, if you can make it into something.
Yeah, and you never know how you're going to be portrayed.
Never.
Or like how long you're going to last. I just can't imagine like...
It's such a risk.
Yeah, because you have to like tell your boss like, I'm going away for 3 months. Will my job be here when I get back? I don't know.
No.
And then you get voted off the first night. I don't know.
Exactly. And they spend like, I think like, some people of course, but spend like thousands of dollars on clothes because they don't dress you and you have to like...
And
have to figure out how to do your makeup for camera and just, it's like a whole thing.
Well, what I've kind of learned is that I watch this show as if I'm Matt James, the current Bachelor. So I'll watch it being like, which of these girls would I want to hook up with?
Okay,
or date? Don't you think, Tasha?
You're thinking about like after the show.
Yeah, just like hypothetically, like if Tasha didn't exist and that was me, I'd be like Serena P, Mari. There's just like, you're like this, clearly. And then he sends one home and you go, what are you doing?
He just sent her home.
Yeah, she's so beautiful.
But do you do that? Like if you're watching Bachelorette,
totally.
You look at these guys and you're trying to
see who I would like.
That's what the show's all about, right? It's almost just like we're like sort of like safely cheating on each other.
That's
Tasha.
why I thought that Becca's choice, what was his name, Garrett, was so poor because I felt like he didn't really quite match her like intellect or personality. And I feel like when you're thinking about post-show, like what's your life going to be post-show? Are you going to be a Bachelor power couple? Like what's his name, Ashley and Jared?
Oh yeah,
like
they're so dorky.
If you're going to be like, I think you've got to think long term, and it's, I guess, if you want a simple life, and maybe that's what she wanted and that's why she picked him, but I don't know, I would be like looking for the other half of my power couple.
Because you're both going to be like in the spotlight and making money off of your personality.
It's a huge opportunity if you want it. It's a big stepping stone.
So much can come down to that like fantasy suite. What if Garrett rocked her socks? Let's be honest, what if he rocked her socks? What if they had great sexual chemistry?
Well, remember they broke the headboard? Remember the next morning? Do you remember that?
I did not know that.
You can find pictures of it on Google.
That's so funny.
Yeah, they like the morning after their headboard was just like...
Well, that's it, folks. Look, that answers that question.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it was an IKEA headboard or not. I actually was telling Tasha this. I had a friend in college where, everyone would crash on other people's couches or whatever. And we had, because we've been like sofa shopping, trying to finally get like a nice sofa.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I remember those $100 Walmart futons. My buddy Whitey, like 400-pound guy, like offensive lineman on the football team, just shredded my futon. Just wires everywhere.
Wait, really?
It looked like he just put it through one of those car smashers. And I'm like, what? This guy bangs. You know what I mean?
It was with her, like...
Yeah, he had
like
a girl
from having
over.
sex?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, wow.
Oh, for sure,
I just thought because he was just huge.
Well, I'm thinking the force of this grown athlete just whatever he was tangling himself up in.
Yeah.
And I was like, keep the futon. I mean, you earned it. Like,
Yours now.
But that's so funny you mentioned that their headboard broke, because it took, a lot of people, and this isn't like a gender thing, right? A lot of people will stay in a relationship that's toxic because
the dick is good.
Absolutely. Yes,
said
that's a
it,
real
not me.
thing. I think you get kind of like mesmerized.
Yeah, dickmatized.
I'm hoping that's why Tasha stayed with me, but I sense that that's not the case. 7 years in, she's like, well, you were just the last one standing at this point. Why was it that stuck you to your guy? What's the thing that keeps you going? Because 6 years in Los Angeles is a lifetime in the Midwest.
I mean, his dick, of course.
Yeah, well, of course.
It is definitely the best sex I've ever had for sure. Like everything else before that was just like sloppy one night drunken hookups, basically. So that was part of it. But no, he's just he's a great guy. I love him to death. He's awesome.
How'd you guys meet?
Mutual friend.
We might have talked about this last time, but that was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I feel like every 30 episodes my hard drive just wipes and I forget people's stories.
No, I don't remember things people told me last week. So don't worry.
Are you? But you're still pretty young. I mean, you'll put if we even mention your age, my knees are gonna hurt. We're over there going to the chiropractor, just trying to be
we're
adults.
all like the same age.
No, not even close. Because you're like Noah's age, right? I know you through Noah.
He's 2 years younger than me.
Okay, but you're like mid to late 20s.
I am 30.
Oh, congratulations. There you go.
Thank
She's in the
The 3-0 club.
So Tasha's also in the 30s, and I think we leave it at that. And I always said I was in my early to mid 30s, but I'm 35 now, so I'm dead center mid 30s.
You are solid mid 30s.
I'm basically like a young, spry 40-year-old at this point.
That makes me hurt inside to think that we're so close to 40.
Honey, we've got.
No.
Don't be ageist, Tasha. We've got older listeners here.
But everybody talks about how old Tom Brady is, and we're gonna be there someday.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, he's old for
an athlete.
For an athlete.
I'm ready to retire.
Yeah.
Put me out to pasture.
Yeah, somebody join the Patreon
I've
so Tasha
barely
can
started, and I already want to retire.
But that's good because you've got a youthful glow here. I mean, ladies, you guys can just roll out of bed and put yourself in the right lighting and play, teens. You guys could both be in Glee still.
With the right lighting, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
It's so funny. It's I don't think of these things because don't get me wrong. If I look, I was like, oh, I got the new iPhone 12. I'm gonna look great, and I'm still like, oh boy, I added 4K to
How
wrinkles.
about camera quality has gotten so good that we all look worse? You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, I know. I'm why?
Can we just go back to these old cameras?
Yeah, if you watch
me a
movies
camcorder.
What I noticed
in
about
the 90s, they look flawless.
Yeah, and now even just evening news. Everybody has great cameras and it's so HD. You can see every line, every wrinkle, every pore.
We don't want to see that.
We've been binging.
I don't want people to see me that way.
We've been binging Survivor, and Jeff Probst clearly gets better camera angles.
No. Hey, during those, what are they called? The tribal council, when he does his commentary, he must have 4 soft boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
He's so perfectly soft and diffused. It's amazing.
He's getting younger.
And everyone else is getting rained on and sweaty and gross.
It's sipping his mimosas in his trailer or whatever.
Yeah, we're at the age here where by the way, we're on the roof for those who are listening to the audio only. This might be our last rooftop episode before we move out of Koreatown and bring my car back to safety as people have been following me.
We hope.
No, I've had 3 car batteries stolen, and I just lost my license plates with a ticket. I got a ticket and my license plate stolen and my door kicked in. But I digress. We've chosen to move, but this might be our last rooftop podcast episode, which we've really enjoyed as a perk to an otherwise dumpster fire of a year is just finding new ways to do things. So after a few months of the pandemic, wanting to kill each other in the kitchen, we finally decided to start having guests back on. And we haven't had too many, but it's been a real fun experience to kind of get out here and start talking to people again. Have you noticed any sort of changes to your lifestyle because of the pandemic? Things you've picked up that you wouldn't have otherwise done?
Hobbies?
Well, has your social life changed at all? I mean, being in a long-term relationship, that's probably a nice thing for the pandemic. You've got each other.
Yeah, I mean, we've haven't been seeing too many people, especially because I just shot a show a couple days ago. So, and I was told or they call it pinned, which is like you might have it, you might not, like 3 weeks ago. So I like basically just stayed inside the entire time because I didn't want to risk getting COVID and losing
Which
out
I
on the
wanted to
opportunity.
commend you for that, because Tasha really appreciates people that take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
For sure. I mean, I'm in the same boat. In Los Angeles, like, everybody's a gig worker, right? Or at least, you know, I don't know a lot of people that have like HR protected jobs.
Yeah, like you would have
real
lost this
jobs.
job if we
yeah.
sneezed on you, and it was for the home box office,
Ooh.
Yeah.
otherwise known as HBO.
HBO.
Tell us about it. Congrats.
Thanks. It's a new comedy that's coming out. I guess it's like a dark comedy. And so I was really excited because I want to be in comedy. Like I want to work with those people on a more serious level in the future. And the other like shows that I've gotten are kind of more like drama. Like I wasn't really able to do any comedic acting. And so it's just a co-star, which is, for those of you that don't know that, in the acting world, it's like the hostess that brings you to your table. It's like, you know, they have like under 5 lines.
And very tough to get a co-star, to get like it's tough to get comedic lines as a co-star, because a lot of
Right.
co-stars' job is just to further whatever the thing is, the
The
pizza
story,
delivery guy,
yeah.
the whatever, yeah.
Mm-hmm, exactly. So I originally had 2 lines, and then I got 2 more lines,
Yes.
which is really exciting.
Woohoo.
But so I was a casino waitress, and the main character, she's at the casino thing. What is it
Slot
called?
machine?
Yeah, like a slot machine.
I just was watching you struggle with your act out there. She was at I was like, blackjack table, it was craps.
And so, you know, I ask her if she wants a drink. And then, so I bring her back 3 drinks because, you know, they're free. And when I'm bringing back her 3 drinks, I mean, I've been a waitress for like 2 years before COVID happened. And then I was a waitress when I was in high school and college. So I'm a very seasoned waitress. You would think this would not have happened to me, but I bring it over and the 3rd drink falls.
Oh, no.
Spills on her.
Not on her, but like on the ground, like right next to her.
Did you keep the scene going?
Well, listen, I was so embarrassed. It was like 3 seconds of just like dead silence. And I was just like, my mouth was agape. And I was like, oh my God, are they gonna like call cut or like what's the dealio? And I was just like, sorry. And then Hannah like turned around and just in her character like continued the scene. Not like continued the scene, but just like improvised with me.
Yeah.
So then I was, you know, went back into character and was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It's my first day. Like, please don't tell my manager. And so we were able to improvise together. So then I was like, oh my God, like hell, that might make it into the cut too. Who knows?
You never know.
I'm sure the
then-
reactions were so authentic that it probably stands a good chance.
mortified.
Totally. I'm sure I turned beat red.
Gonna
It
get
was the most
an
embarrassing
Emmy
thing
for
ever.
this role. Like your acting was amazing.
Very authentic. Yeah, it was really bad. I was just like, oh my God, and I'm actually a waitress. Like, how embarrassing is that? And it was the first take too.
Oh wow.
So I was like, and because I was in like 4-inch heels, so I'm like, I cannot fuck up again because like you get one chance to like fuck up, you know, or like
If
one pass.
even, yeah. They might just be like, bring in that girl, point to an extra.
Well, what people
you know
don't
what I mean?
realize,
Gosh.
people think of TV like theater, where you've got this like week of rehearsals. You come in, you get a couple
You don't
like
know anybody.
walkthroughs,
You've not met anybody. You're
and
just
then you
supposed
go.
to know your freaking lines. Yeah, a couple walkthroughs and that's it.
and
Yeah.
unless you're like the star of the show, they don't have time for dilly-dallying or different takes. It's like you really, I mean, it's tough. It's nerve-wracking. So after that, did you, for continuity, did you spill it every time or?
No. No, luckily, but they did let me improvise again like a little bit later too.
that's
So
great.
it was really awesome. I really hope that some of those lines get in, but
You never know,
try
right?
not to get my hopes up. But yeah,
Well, but I think it's good to hope for the best and then see what happens. And you know, so many times people hype something up and nothing's made of it, and then other times it launches your career and you really can't. It's not your job to be in the editing room, so you really can't know. But
Yeah.
that's a lot of fun.
yeah, it was really fun. I was like on cloud 9 after because it was just like that was like my first time being able to improvise on set. There's like 100 people watching, you know, like all the crew and stuff. So it was really nerve-wracking, but it was a lot of fun.
This is a stupid story, but I did what must have been a Hallmark movie. Like I was background, right?
Oh yeah.
So like couldn't care less. You know, I'm there.
Yeah.
It's SAG pay. It's a couple $100. It's whatever. It was like a really bad movie. And there was so every time I did the scene, I would kind of like amplify my character in the background where I was like making coffee and I would get angry, and then they would be like, we really like this thing you're doing, because you never would anyone who's got any like peace of mind would they ever try to do anything like this, but I really didn't care. I was like losing my mind.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, cool. So like my thing became getting frustrated at the coffee maker, and they had 3 cameras on me at this point. And it became like a bit, and I was like, all right, and I could feel in the corner of my eye no one was telling me to cut, so I just amped it up to the point where I slammed the thing with like all, you know, normally you're supposed to be as quiet as possible, they'll add sound in, and after I slammed it as loud as possible and just ramped it up until someone in the video village, which is where they watch the monitors, broke out laughing, and then they cut the scene and everyone starts applauding, and I'm like, really guys? And they're like, this was amazing. And I was like, this is how low the bar is set for people, that you guys were pumped that I struggled with a coffee maker. Never even heard if the project ever came out. They gave me a bonus, which is not something I'm proud of because it was still background work.
Like a featured extra kind of thing?
Yeah, which is like a real, not like sad humble brag to be like, I was a featured extra. But it's fun to just mess around, because whether it's accidentally spilling something or doing something on your own, like they can only write what they can write, and then on the day you have to kind of feel what's funny. So like there is like this live performing aspect of like feeling what's funny and then just rolling with that, because there's no like audience there. So you're literally just trying to make the camera guy laugh at some point, you know, like you're trying to get a gauge for what works and what doesn't. But as a co-star, that's the hardest, because they don't hire you to be the center of attention. You just have to do your job and get out or whatever. But was the casino a place you think these characters might return to? Like, do you think you might get a phone call again?
I don't know. I hope so. That would be awesome. I know season 1 at least takes place in Vegas. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say. I don't really know that much about it. I read the pilot and it's really funny.
Did you audition through Skype or something, or was it in person?
Just a self-tape.
That's
so
amazing.
Just video and send it in. And I auditioned for like 3 other roles, and then they booked me off this role from like one of the other roles. So I didn't audition for this exact part. So I don't know. I guess that's a good thing that they wanted me.
Yeah, that means
in
they saw you. They liked your look. They liked your tape, and they were like, "Let's find a place for this girl when it's right." You know,
that's what I think.
Comedy's it's hard to break into because everyone who's on the set knows somebody, because you have to have a lot of trust with the other performers. So a lot of the guest stars are all people that I've worked with and vouched with and this and that. But once you can get into that club, you know, there's no problem like a Judd Apatow using the same 15 people over and over.
Yeah.
Versus like if it was something more like, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's dramatic stuff that where like Wes Anderson and certain people will use the same, you know, Owen Wilson's over and over and over.
Yeah.
It just comes down to being like, I need someone who's going to do something good on the day, and I can't trust this handful of headshots. Like it doesn't. That's what I love about our industry is that. Your degree doesn't matter. Where you perform doesn't. It might help somewhere get an agent or whatever, but in the end, it's like it's going to come down to an iPhone self-tape.
Totally.
Like, did you have it or not?
I know, and it's also just so much more fun to work with your friends too. Like my web series, Not From Around Here, that's out. I just hired all my friends to be the actors because I trust them. Knew they weren't going to flake because that you always have to have that concern too. Yeah. And then I know they're funny, and I would prefer hanging out with them for 7 days than I would just some random person.
Now, we were just watching it downstairs. Very well shot.
Thanks.
Very funny. Are you an alien? No, is everyone an alien in this?
No, she's not an
alien.
alien.
I'm not.
Okay, so
she's from Jersey.
I'm from Jersey. But you find out, and I don't know if you've gotten to episode 4 or not, but you find out that I'm part Uranian. So my grandmother's from Uranus. So a part of me is alien, but you don't know yet until episode 4.
And I'll put a link in the description so people can check that out. But so it's on YouTube. It's all, for people that are watching this, they can click right over. I can put a little thumbnail at the end of this video so people can click on over and watch that. Was this an original idea you had or developed through friends? How did you come about?
Yeah. So maybe like 6 years ago, I was up in Big Sur for my friend's birthday, and we shroomed. And so the idea just came to me then, like looking up at the night sky. And I've always been really into the solar system and like our planet specifically. Like when I was a kid, I had the poster of like the solar system in my room. I just loved it. So I just thought it would be fun to make like an alternate universe where there was life on all the planets in our solar system, and then have it take place on Earth, because I don't have the budget to be shooting up in space. So
yeah, it's like, all right, this is a Uranian mixed person that looks white. We have a white Jersey chick. No, but you guys had really good like you had like a prosthetics and hair and makeup people and all that. I mean, that's not normal in a web series.
And the puppets.
Oh yeah,
that was so cool. Yeah, that's what I was just watching right before Dave was shouting at me.
Yeah, episode 3 actually won Best Web Series Episode at the Austin Comedy Film Festival.
Oh, how exciting!
Yeah,
congrats.
Thank you. We also won Best Hair and Makeup too at one here in LA.
Amazing.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's you talk about the solar system. Over the summer, we went out into Los Angeles. What the hell is it called? Red Rock State Park. Because like I knew a little bit about stars and everything, but like as far as light pollution goes, we can only from Los Angeles we can only really see the moon, a couple stars.
A couple stars. That's
and
it.
So there's like a scale, the Bortle scale, 1 to 7, whatever it is. I could have the numbers wrong, but if LA is a 2, which is like virtually seeing nothing, going out an hour north is like a 5.5. Like Colorado in the mountains is like a 6.5, where you can literally see galaxies and all that. And it's really, it's really mind blowing to just get out. So I'm sure.
Oh yeah, when you're in the middle of nowhere, oh my God, the stars are incredible. It's like they fill up the entire sky. It's such a trip.
And that's the one struggle with city life. And Los Angeles isn't as bad as like New York and some other places, because we do have the connection with the beach and the good weather. I mean, people watching this, it's end of, what are we in, February? It's February. We're 78 degrees outside. It's amazing right now.
So nice.
It gets a little chilly at night for those plowing your driveways in Michigan. So sorry about that. I'll rub it in. We get disconnected from the earth. We're just city noise, city. So like to get out is such a relief that we forget we need to do, because it's not like life threatening that we need to do that, but we have a hard time listening to it. Like we haven't been, we did the beach a little bit, but we haven't been out to like the mountains or anything in a long time.
Yeah.
Like do you get out there often? Like do you make it a point? I mean, you're in Venice, so you're on the beach.
Yeah, not really. I mean, I love camping, but I haven't gone camping in a while.
Yeah,
I love nature.
Yeah, you need some more shroom web series to
ideas. I know, Jesus.
I haven't done shrooms, but I've been willing and able to. It just hasn't really presented itself to me. But I do
you definitely should highly recommend. I mean, if there's kids out there watching, you guys should not do it. Drugs are bad.
Once your brain is fully formed, we can talk again.
Yeah, but I mean, just like little here and there, like.
Well, it's legal in some states, right? Or at least very much decriminalized.
I don't think yet.
No,
it's not.
Shrooms are not. But, people are getting more on board with its like medicinal purposes. Like they've definitely done studies. Like people can sign up, I guess, for like studies.
And for like mental health too. Like apparently anxiety, if you microdose, so that's just like a tiny bit every day. Apparently it can help you boost your mood, like depression and all of that.
Yeah, for sure.
PTSD, like real serious things, because we forget, like we talk about simple things like, breaking headboards while you bang, but we also talk about like trying to recover from the baggage we bring into relationships.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about you, but we both have things you don't realize until you're in a relationship. Like I've seen some ugly sides of myself. Before we went on the podcast, we were talking about Colton Underwood, who clearly had a obsessive Puritan mind. He lost his virginity and went crazy, put a tracking device on his ex's car, stalked her, moved next to her, like in the same neighborhood, all these things. And it's like, that bro could use some shrooms. Like what? Like find out what's going on, because that ain't healthy, stalking someone. You're transferring some mental illness to your ex. For sure, she has PT. I mean, I can't speak for her, but like you can only imagine.
Yeah,
she wonders when she closes her blinds at night, who's watching her, because the whole world found out that she was essentially being stalked. I mean, it was an episode of You. It was insane, and people still believed it was under the under the guise of love. And it really comes down to like how we project in emotions and baggage onto others because we haven't worked things out ourselves. So have you in your 6-year relationship learned anything by your boyfriend, by having someone to like project your emotions onto? Like, have you learned what's toxic in your life and vice versa, what he's brought to the table?
Well, I was actually just talking about that to my friend. Just that, like, once you get into a relationship, especially if you're single for so long, and also not just single, but like just very independent on your own,
not living with family.
Yeah, you like don't really get held accountable for your toxic behavior.
You are so on the money. I was like coming back from like a work trip or something like on the East Coast, like Chicago or something. I got sat next to a girl whose name was Natasha. So like we were just chit-chatting and she said the same thing to me. She was talking about, I think she was living in like Woodland Hills with her family. And she was saying like, oh, I really want to move out on my own, but my parents are so against it. She's Indian, so like they're more traditional. But their reasoning was that if you don't have someone to like hold you accountable, like people to challenge you, hold the mirror up to you, tell you no, you really can become set in your ways, like
that's so true.
When you're like, being independent is a great thing, but like we all have to learn how to get along with others, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not living with family, living with roommates, living with a significant other, you don't have those challenges. You do what you want to do when you want to do it. If you want to leave the dishes, you leave the dishes.
I got a bad analogy. I got a really bad analogy. It's like if you're at the driving range and you're just trying to crush the ball, you don't have anything to necessarily, like, you don't know where the pin is. You don't know what you're aiming towards. But you're like, I'm crushing the shit out of this ball. Versus like on the golf course, you'll see that you're hitting it into a different, you're over the wrong, you know what I mean? Like you need like sort of like a common denominator to gauge. Like a field goal post. I'm using just different sports analogies at this point. But like you don't know until you know what you're aiming for, like how far off you are. And in so many ways the relationships can help that. Whereas like, sometimes people say, there's two types of men. I always say there's guys who apologize and then single guys. So you just got to learn. Look.
Or compromise.
Compromise. Like, it's like, and I've, there's people in my comments tell me their stories, and some guy had mentioned that, like, his wife's always the one apologizing, not him. And I'm like, how does that make you feel though, when like one person's always saying they're sorry to please you? Like, do you want to marry and date someone who's like acquiescing to your world versus like making one together? Like, what have you in your relationship, what have you guys done to like build a life together versus how you were in your single days?
A lot of compromise. What else?
Do you guys know each other's like love languages?
Yeah, we've had to learn that over the years too, and I think they've like almost kind of changed too as we've gotten older and grown. And he was definitely more codependent when we first started dating, and that definitely caused issues because I was feeling like a little bit suffocated, but he was wanting more from me and I couldn't give him more because I was feeling so suffocated. Like there wasn't a good environment. And
could you pinpoint what that more was? Like, did he just want more time with you, or wanted to hear from you if you weren't around? Like, was it jealousy? Because men have to deal with, like, you're being a target. You're a tall, blonde, good-looking woman. You walk to the grocery mart, and then he's got to know in the back of his mind someone's hitting on you. And if you're insecure, you might be worried and threatened.
Yeah, I think in the beginning he definitely had more jealousy issues, but he's not really that way, like, at all anymore, which is really nice. And, we were like 23 and 24 when we got together. So we definitely were both just like immature. And since this was like my first real relationship too, I had to also navigate going from being so independent for so long to then like having to check in with somebody. And so he was codependent, and then I was like still trying to be my independent self. And there's like, you need to find a happy medium there.
That's interesting when how you mention that, because we always talk about it as codependency, counterdependency. So it's like a yin yang thing. So I think a lot of times with women, as good-looking women, you are getting hunted down. I really mean that, by men left and right. Like, right, Tasha? Like, your whole life. I don't want to speak for you, so tell me if you disagree. But your whole life has been like being, as an adult, has been like a sexual object to men. Whereas you don't know if a guy's being nice to you. There's always some baggage attached to that, right? Would you say? As far as like a casting director, someone who wants to like write with you. Like, I mean, have you ever had to have a guy who's like, we should go write together? It's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, well, Max, my boyfriend, always says like, okay, well, what does he want about like anybody? Because I'll be like, oh my God, this guy like wants to write with me, or like he thinks I could be good for blah, blah. He was like, oh really? Okay.
Yeah. Well, even if you told Max you were coming now, if I was a single guy and you were saying you were going to go to some dude's rooftop podcast, I'm sure you guys been together for so long. I'm sure he's like, go knock it out, have fun. But but just by knowing, Tasha and I are two old bags over here, it does change things, because single men are there is something that guys are after.
Yeah, I usually always say like, oh, they're in a relationship. Well, I mean, I'm not lying, like if they actually are, or like they're gay, because I'm like, just want to reassure him that it's like, because I mean, even I, like, it's not just him that has that worry. Like a lot of times I do too.
Yeah, for sure. You spend your whole life kind of like sussing out situations. Yeah. You have to really like figure out, what does this person want from me?
And knock on wood, like I haven't had like any sort of like, where they were like a predator or anything like that. But there has been times where I did get myself in a situation I'm like, oh, this is just uncomfortable. Like it didn't get any further than just feeling uncomfortable, but it was like, oh yeah, he's like not really trying to actually help me, or like
it's
he doesn't actually think I'm funny. He just like wants to stare at my tits.
I've had to talk to Tasha about this a bunch, and I remember, she's working with photographers, and it's like sometimes it's a small set, it's just a photographer. You see a photo and there's a dude's toe in the photo, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And like I remember this one guy, like there's like a toe in the photo, and I'm like, this isn't photography. This is weird. But there was one time when like there was a guy, she shot your photos, you're texting him for whatever. And then like, back in the day, I would get jealous over certain things. Probably less now, but anything can make you can always get jealous if you kind of like obsess over something. But like then like it came out that he was gay, and I was like, why didn't you just tell me he was gay? I would have felt so much better knowing he was gay. But then also that doesn't solve my problems if you got to go do a photo shoot with someone. But there is something interesting as a codependent, as someone who's struggled with this, that with being with Tasha, I've had to have it heightened experiences where you might be doing a lingerie shoot, or you might be doing a bikini shoot. Yeah. So I've had to have like heightened experiences where I'm like, I got to be okay with you going to Mexico with some of these girls to go do some like photo shoot at a music festival, and that could drive someone crazy. So I've almost had to like have trial by fire, where I've had to figure out my own stuff so I don't go nuts.
But I would argue that like those kind of like, you don't grow without challenging yourself, right? Like how would you ever learn to manage those feelings if I wasn't having to go shoot with random people?
It's almost like I've always said, as humans, I think we're like spirits that are challenging ourselves. So there's this whole theory that like Earth is just this like really complex challenge, and we're meant to like really struggle here. Yeah. And if I was
you're quoting that.
So I'm gonna get into it. Don't worry.
That nutty lady.
Marianne Williamson. No, not Marianne Williamson.
No.
Oh, the other Sylvia Brown.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Yeah. I borrow from a lot of people. I steal my theories because I'm like half her, Marianne Williamson and Wayne Dyer and Oprah. I'm all over the place. But yeah, the truth that I believe that it's like, if you don't like, that's why, like, look, I could win the lottery and that money would be nice. I'd pay off a few student loans and whatever. But like, I don't think I would be any happier. I'm happy creating. And I actually really wanted to talk to you about this because you're also like, you're a creator. You made the web series. You didn't wait for the auditions to come through. They are coming through, but can you speak a little bit about self-actualizing and like when did you decide like, fuck it, I'm going to make something. I'm not going to wait to be let in. I'm going to just do it. Like, when did that happen?
So I always liked creating. Like, even when I first moved out here, I would do like some sketches and like smaller web series that are like way less production, like, just like a camera and like one lighting and like not even a mic. But for years of doing like improv and a little bit of stand up and not really getting many auditions at all. I felt like I was kind of being like mediocre at a lot of things. Like I wasn't putting like all my energy into like one thing, and my energy was getting like pulled in so many different directions.
Yeah, like what's the word? Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's how I was feeling. And it was just, I felt like I had nothing to like really show or like to be super proud of as like my calling card of like, here, look what I can do. And I really did want to challenge myself with writing something and directing, because I went to film school at Arizona State, and I actually I made like one film, and it was really small. It was like basically a silent film, and I was the only person in it, and it was like a one night shoot. Like it wasn't a full on production because I didn't have the confidence to do it. I really felt like I wasn't good enough to, or that I just didn't have the skills, and like so I would help on other people's sets, and I learned a lot when I was there, but I didn't have the courage to do acting and directing and writing my own thing. And so that was just like a goal of mine, and I more narrowed down like, okay, what do you want to do? Because you learn so many when you're out in LA and you're dabbling in so many different things. It's like I did like doing stand up, and I was decent at it, but I was also like, that's not my dream. I've never like dreamt of like, you know, playing at Madison Square Garden or whatever as a stand up. And I was like, okay, what do you actually want to do? And I like narrowed it down that I would want to create a sitcom and be in it as well. So that's what I did. I just like took it in my own hands and made an 8-episode web series, and yeah, I just went for it.
And once you realize that you don't need certain gatekeepers, once you realize that like when you have a vision, like leap in the net will appear. When you have a vision, people show up. People want to be a part of that, because it does take a lot of gumption to just like put yourself out there and be like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
To be a leader, to be a trailblazer, that requires some chutzpah. Like,
and it's hard, and it's
not
like,
everybody is cut out for that or ready for that just yet.
Well, I was just talking to my mom about this yesterday, because I've always been a late bloomer with like everything. Like it took me a really long time to ride a bike, and like went like I was like 13 when I went on my roller coaster, and like everything was just like so much later for me. My spirit animal is a turtle, because slow and steady wins the race for me.
We just talked about this today. We just talked about turtles.
Because I was a turtle person. We were talking about how when you're a kid, like if your relatives find out that you like have a thing.
Oh my God,
like
I was a turtle person.
Oh my God.
My friends call me a turtle enthusiast. Yeah, I have so many turtle figurines. I have like a whole cabinet of them at home.
We went to the Bahamas when I was probably like 9 or 10, and we stayed at Atlantis, the resort. It had just opened.
Oh my God, that was like my dream as a kid.
It had just opened, so it wasn't like fully finished yet. So my parents got like a pretty good deal on a vacation package, right?
Oh, cool.
But they had a sea turtle. They had like multiple like sea turtle aquariums. Like they had a bunch of, and I just thought they were so freaking cool.
I'm so jealous.
And then for the rest of my life, I got sea turtle figurines from every.
You have to be careful about it. My mom's an elephant person, and she has
elephants
like
are big. Her mom's an elephant person.
No, my
what are we
friend
like,
Anna,
soul sisters?
What's your mom? She's a trinket. My buddy Jared's mom's an elephant person. But yeah, you get elephant trinkets.
Yeah,
nonstop.
forever.
Yeah,
forever.
You're basically like in an Indian wedding. You get the elephant. It's I loved watching you both bond over turtles coming out of your proverbial shells, if you will. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, you were a late bloomer turtle person.
And late bloomer
turtle person.
Should be in my bio.
You're gonna meet some turtle people in the comments. You're gonna get a couple turtle friends. You'll be in a turtle Facebook group.
Love ya.
Yeah, maybe that's your sitcom.
I had a turtle nightlight. A little lamp that was like a turtle.
Wait,
shell.
I had a light too. It was like the light was the lamp was the shell.
Well, aren't flat earthers? Don't they believe it's a giant turtle underneath the earth?
Well, isn't that like a Native American thing? I think.
That's like an ancient creation myth.
Well, like I digress. I've gotten you all over the map here with this, but so you've been late to the party with certain things, and you like turtles.
Yeah, so it kind of. With being a late bloomer, it took me then years to like actually do my own project, because
it takes time to come into your own. It takes time to develop the confidence. It takes time to like come to the realization that like no one else is going to do it for me. I just have to do it, and I'm capable of doing it.
Exactly. You called it today an incubator. Because we've been talking about the new place we're moving to. It's like, this isn't the be-all, end-all. If we don't love the neighborhood, it's fine. This is an incubator. This is where we're going to really take it to the next level, and then there'll be something from that. So you could have just been incubating and not feeling like you do all these things, but, you know, something's developing under the surface there.
And also just being on other people's sets and years of helping out, you get the confidence because you're like, well, they can do it, I can do it, and like you're learning as you're going.
I know how to do that.
You realize that getting sound isn't rocket science. You just need a certain thing, and you start to know who to ask for. And like you said, your first project, you had no good audio or whatever. Then the longer you do it, you realize, like, you know, when I make all my projects, I'm like, bring this, get that, throw the light up, put the tent up. You know, like you just start to know what you need, and then people respect that, and they. You know, like you've got years of learning little things as you kind of sit around and watch. Like even the stupid things like the background I did. I mean, I don't hate myself for doing background for years. Like I stood in the room with Scorcese and DiCaprio.
No way.
And
wait, which one?
Wolf of Wall Street, and then Wall Street 2 with Michael Douglas, and all these things where you're just sitting there like a fly on the wall, literally sitting there.
Yeah,
as
watching
Scorcese
people who
and DiCaprio.
are masters of their craft.
Yeah, anytime Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
Oh, anytime I've been an extra, like I'm always like watching. Like I don't like being passive when I'm there because I'm like, well, I like to do all of this behind the scenes stuff too, so it's so fun.
You'll appreciate this that I didn't appreciate at the time, but I stood in on Birdman and we had to memorize the script. And I'm talking
You did?
16 pages a day because we did full rehearsals with the people that ended up becoming the best.
The reason
wow.
being was that it was the one shot.
Right.
That whole movie
and they
was
don't mess
one
around.
shot,
People
so-
were getting fired off the set left and right.
Did you have it memorized?
Oh yeah. We're running it, and then there were plenty of times because I was at Edward Norton's stand-in.
Oh wow.
So he was the big diva. Michael Keaton,
really
cool. Everyone, Zach Galifianakis, coolest guy. Everyone on it, super. I mean, there was like Naomi Watts. Everyone on it, cool. Edward Norton, notorious. Google him, horrible. I mean, so bad they didn't even bring him back for the Hulk.
He has a reputation of being hard to work with.
Huge reputation, huge ego. He's fighting on set with Inarritu, who's like this tall Mexican strong or Spanish strong guy, and they're going back and forth, and the whole crew's like, I'm watching history happen. But so there was times when he's not around. Michael Keaton needs to run the line. Dave, get in there, and you're just going and
you were acting with Michael Keaton?
You're running it around. They're just who can get in there. We have a full crew that needs to do this, and that's so rare. It doesn't always happen.
Wow.
That never happens. That's
incredible.
Last day I get a line, Times Square guy, and it's residuals since then. It's just very minimal, but it's like pretty cool stuff. So like I understand opportunities come in different ways, but when you get to watch people that became Best Picture winner, Chivo, the cinematographer, won cinematography 3 years in a row. That's a lifelong dream for people. He won it for Gravity, for Birdman, and then the following year was the DiCaprio movie,
the Frozen,
the movie,
what was that?
where they had to like search for
the bear one.
Yeah, the bear one.
Yeah, they spent all year chasing snow.
Yeah, they had to like go to Chile in a mountain to find snow because it didn't snow that year.
Global warming.
Anyway, so anyway, again, I digress. I'm sorry, I pulled it, but I get that there's so much that can happen by observing, by just being a part of something where you learn a growth mindset, because you learn, while these are the biggest experts in the world or people that are living their dreams, you belong in that room. You belong at that table. They're not above you. They're humans too.
Yeah.
But in our mind, we put them as like
such a pedestal.
Crazy pedestal. And it's like people listening could be the next Elon Musk, but like you just got to get out there and do it. You got to go make some shit happen. And if you don't know, like I've been talking a lot about building our equity, because during the pandemic, people have realized they've been fired from their jobs. So many people thought they were taking the high road by being with a company that's going to give them health care. And it's like, you shouldn't have to a company shouldn't be able to hold health care over you and that be the reason you stay somewhere. Like we're in the end, all we can do is sort of water our own plants and try to like bring something to the table. So by making a web series, you're bringing to the table like a chance for other people to act, direct, do whatever. And that's something that will lead to so much more, because rather than saying you can do something, you prove you could do it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm so proud of it. Just by doing it and completing it, you know, and it was such a good feeling. Those days were so fun. Like the days on set, I can't wait to get back.
So what's
with my friends?
What's next for you?
So because it's 8 episodes, it was a lot. Like it took a lot longer than I expected. And so next project, I just want it to be like, I guess like a short, I would say like maybe 10 minutes. And because I did the festival circuit and we got into like, I think we're like at 8 festivals now. And it's kind of harder to find festivals that are just web series. Not just web series, has a web series category. It's more common now than it was, but this was my first time ever doing the festival circuit. So the next one, I think I just want to do a short. So it would just like be a little bit quicker.
Like a full pack, a full story, but done in 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, and then also I want to do a story that like it could potentially be a TV show as well.
Right.
Like have like a cool ensemble and like it could be turned into a TV show.
Do you have premises, or is that what you got to go Shrooms in the Big Sur again?
I do have an idea.
You got an idea? That's good.
I'll keep it a secret.
Now, do you bounce these ideas off your boyfriend? Is he in the entertainment?
Yeah, he's not in the entertainment industry, but he's definitely super creative. So I was actually just talking to him about it the other night, and he was giving me really good ideas. So it's really nice that he's not in the entertainment industry, but he's still like interested, and he's creative and helpful, and like likes to help me with it. So.
That's great. Oh, you put him to work? Is he crew? Does he become the craft services?
No.
You're like, I gotta go pick something up for me. That's what it becomes, though, where like it's all hands on deck. Like Tasha, when I'm like with my mimosa stand-up show before the pandemic, that was like, once a month, but it was like, I gotta go to Costco and get the champagne. I gotta go do this and that. And it's like, people don't realize that like part of creating is like cleaning the bathroom at the comedy club because it's disgusting. And I got a whole bunch of people showing up. Like so much goes into it that wipes your pride away so fast, right? Like, Tasha, I mean, you're helping me out, like, get the stench off of floors just so we can run some shows and make people laugh. And, like, I don't need you to, I don't want you to have to be that person, but you're kind of like, all right, let's go.
We show up with the Lysol wipes and the Swiffer and the broom.
I mean, I'm literally scrubbing shit off the walls.
Where was this?
Fourth wall. It's a cool spot, but it's like, it can be, they don't polish this. No. Not to this extent where like normal humans can go. For comics, it's whatever. But like, there's guys. I've done comedy for a good while now. I have a lot of pride with what I know and what I don't know. Mm-hmm. But like, I'm doing it. There's no like graduate program. I'm doing it with people that have done it for months. And they can bitch all they want, but I am scrubbing those floors to make it right for what I'm working on. And there's no ego attached to that. You're just gonna do what you need to do to make it happen.
Well, where we shot Not From Around Here was my producer and collaborator. He helped me with the stories, named Kenneth Rosendo. He's the Martian, the red guy.
Yeah.
Bruce.
The landlord.
The landlord, yeah. We shot at his apartment, and him and his roommate, he might hate me for saying this, but they like can just be like, I had to go there and clean for like 12 hours because their apartment was just like, they had like 40 pizza boxes just like in their place.
Gross. I mean, I feel like we can't say anything because you were just in our apartment and you saw
you guys were moving.
Turned upside down.
No, it was just like, why are you guys keeping your pizza boxes?
Yeah, this
like
is
throw
stage
them
one
out.
hoarders. Like, get
literally.
rid of it.
And like, it just, not even just pizza boxes, like boxes for anything. And you should have seen the trash cans outside when I was done. The amount of trash that I cleaned out, it was insane.
Yeah, and they don't teach you that at ASU film school. But I mean, well, I'm sure they warn you, but like, yeah, you just got to do what you got to do to make things happen. And I mean, I'm not trying to like glamorize it like anyone's better than anyone else, but it's literally like, that's the guy in the garage becoming Apple. That's what you're just doing what you have to do. And the pandemic has really enforced like, do what you have to do to make things. Yeah. Like, the YouTube has done really well for me. And we just celebrated last week the 10,000 subscribers. It's already almost at 14,000, and it's performing like a 100,000 subscriber channel. That wouldn't have happened if I was doing the ho-hum side gigs and floating around. It's like, you got to find like times to be bold and make things happen, because what you learn is that the industry doesn't work in a way where you get to put in 5 years and then your ticket's going to get called. No. Some chick that shows up, some guy that shows up, they're gonna it just doesn't. It might happen that way, but like I think that
never.
I think the thing we all want is control, and because I've been talking a lot about codependency, I've had guys reach out to me and go like, what was the thing that changed? A guy Carl, he just joined the Patreon. Shout out to Carl.
Hey Carl.
Love you.
Love you, bud.
Love you, Carl. Thank you so much. And their donations. I mean, these people are really special. The way they donate and send us stuff. We get gift cards and Cash Apps and Venmos. That ticket, that $73 ticket I got, right? Someone goes, what was the price of that ticket? I go, $73. I get a Cash App for $73. Let me make your day a little bit better. I mean, these people, it is humbling.
Oh my God.
We got the best peanut butter right now. Because a viewer,
Teresa
awesome mom
in Phoenix
sent us peanut butter because her son runs a peanut butter company that they started in her garage. Gourmet
it's
peanut
like
butter.
white chocolate
so
infused. Yeah, shout out to
You're
Teresa.
like a micro influencer.
She invited us to. I mean, at this point, yeah. I mean, we're getting sponsorships.
I don't know for sure the app. We'll have to put it in the description, but I think it's PB Americano. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's right. We'll put it in the description. But anyway, my point was, Carl, or some people had asked, like, how'd you kick the codependency? And my thought was, well, the times that I was the most desperate was when I didn't have a job, I moved, I had so much failure in my life, and I had zero control. So I was just like leeching on to things I might have a chance to control, like a relationship or this or that. And so much pride comes from putting out your own hard work. And I mentioned this earlier, and that's Jordan Peterson's whole thesis. The most misunderstood. I really relate him to like being like the Messiah because he's so misunderstood.
That's ridiculous.
And it's so ridiculous. And I told Tasha this.
I don't know who that is.
I've never said it about anyone else.
He's a controversial figure.
He's like a modern philosopher. He was a professor in Toronto, a tenured professor, and a clinical psychologist. And he's been railroaded by all of media they think he's like some Nazi sympathizer, but he's left leaning. He's a college professor, but he's huge across the globe. And his main thing is
like radical ideas.
His ideas aren't radical. He's misunderstood. But he's got millions of followers that understand him, but he's manipulated by the media because he understands the media is dying, so he doesn't do short form interviews anymore. He's like anyway. So, but his biggest thing that he talks about is like that he thinks people are on earth to struggle, but that pain that you get from struggle, that's the reward you want. Like this world where
that it's fulfilling.
Like this world.
It's part of like the recipe of like being alive is to grow
I
and
agree
learn
with that
and experience those growing pains.
And I don't mean struggling like you have to be poor, but like I can't imagine the struggle of producing your own thing, having to do all this, clean it up, work 15 to 18-hour days, and then the next night you're just like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
You struggled, but you saw it through. And that's important. I mean, Tasha, you've produced your own things.
Those are the best, like, you're like accomplishing something. Like there's no better feeling in the world. It's like a natural high.
And we live in
a reward.
Yeah.
Like the feeling of accomplishment is a reward in itself. Just how you were saying, like, sure, I would like to win the lottery, but like, like making it happen for yourself from the ground up is so fulfilling.
I can't wait to like look back and just be like, it was just all so worth it, and just the little wins along the way even are worth it.
I hope you can really enjoy them in the. I mean, I know what you mean by looking back and untangling all and be like, that was amazing. But I really hope you can enjoy every little one, like every comedy festival submission. Those can be worth so much more than what someone else might perceive as a big deal. It's like you know what it takes to get seen in a oversaturated market of other content.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you remember True Hollywood Story?
Yeah.
Back in the day?
Yeah, of course.
I a long time ago with a friend, we used to joke like, this is part of the True Hollywood Story.
Totally.
This is the come up, you know, when they make the True Hollywood Story about us, about you, about our journey.
Well, even just what happened to me 2 days ago on set about when I spilled the drink, like, even though it was the most embarrassing thing in that moment, and obviously it ended up being okay in the end, but it's just like, oh my God, that's such a good story to be able to like look back on one day. I mean, it's even funny now, but
happy mistakes.
Yeah.
Happy mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you only have so much control over the story as it unwinds, but what you do have control over is putting work in.
And your outlook.
An outlook. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did want to, before we get out of here, I did want to mention Bachelor one more time. So it's funny because before we got into the podcast, you said you were going to potentially take the season off of watching because maybe, you know, it's so time consuming. So like, let's just take the season off. How did that turn out for you?
It didn't turn out well.
It didn't work.
I'm like listening to like 6 hours worth of podcasts about it. Like that's how addicted to this stupid franchise I am. It's insane.
Now, what do you think the thing is that makes it so addicting and talked about?
I really have no idea because it's honestly not even that good. But this season's pretty good. Yeah. Like the drama, I'm living for it. I think
I waffle so much on this because I like understand that the drama is what brings in viewership and ratings and makes people talk about it. Like in one of my fittings last week, it's all the designers and like
chatting about it.
And the product development people are on Zoom and everybody's talking about like about Victoria's bra straps. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, what is up with that? Are you kidding me? That's how you know none of the girls in the house liked her, because they didn't say anything to her unless they did, and she was just like, I like it.
That's so interesting though, because obviously in fashion, you know, you would notice that, but like as a guy, I'm not noticing that because you know, people were commenting like, oh, she's clearly a producer plant. No one would let her bra not match her dress. I'm like, really?
I'm sorry, who would ruin their own reputation? Like so many people are saying she's an actor. Who would go on and ruin their reputation? There's no way she's an actor.
I think maybe she was a producer plant, but like unwitting. You know, like they picked her because they knew that she was kind of like
of course,
and was like gonna stir things up, and they knew that they could easily manipulate her to say this or that.
They
or
do
whatever,
that every season. I mean, they just try and find the wackadoos that are going to cause the drama. Like, of course, they also find ones that are real potentials, but they do that every season.
Well, the
There's
producers,
always a wild card.
Yeah, they're bonused for the drama they create.
Yeah,
and the contestants are sleep deprived, and they've even recounted stories of like they'll shine lights on them in the morning to like kind of wake up through the windows, and alcohol. I mean, I've been in sleep deprived situations in the fraternity where they don't let you sleep for a little bit just to like sort of it's a form of sort of like compliance, really.
Yeah,
like
really
no wonder everyone's in tears every other day.
And you can like tell as the season goes on that they are exhausted. Like they start like physically looking like it too. I mean, I can't even imagine. I would look like shit by like episode 3. I would be like completely broken out. I would have like bags under my eyes. I would just be like gaining weight from drinking.
And just like, you know, you eat more when you're tired.
Or like
and they've got junk food on set or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, for
well, you know, I heard some funny stories from former producers, and one was interesting where like, you know, they're all lined up for the rose ceremony, but the question's always like, how does Matt James or whoever the lead is, how do they know all their names? Well, they only do 3 at a time.
Yeah,
so they do 3, they go back, but then they also said they'll tell the girls, like, if you were in the back line, you're in your heels, and maybe it's 90 minutes into a rose ceremony, and they're like, Shannon, we need to replace your mic pack. Shannon, quick. So you're gonna like rush off. Well, that they just have video of you rushing off set. So like that's something.
Yeah.
So there's just nonstop. And as someone who like, you know, understands editing, I'm always like, look, if you didn't say things that I couldn't see in a 2-shot or a wide shot, I just don't believe it. But Victoria gave
the frankenbiting that they do.
Yeah, but Victoria gave plenty of examples where like she was a bad character within, like, you couldn't manipulate her refusing to sit next to Marilyn to have a conversation. It was like, that was rude. That was super rude.
Or walking away when Ryan was it? I think it was
Katie
Ryan.
And Ryan maybe. Or,
Katie and Ryan. Just, I mean, she asked her a question literally, and like she's answering it, and then she just walks away.
Yeah, she's got a history there, and you know she doesn't deserve death threats. She got rid of her Instagram, but I also think death threats in today's world don't hold the weight of what they used to be. It's like, come on, you got someone saying something on Instagram, they're crazy. But like back in the day, if you had to find someone's address and mail them something, that's a death threat.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like, I just think that like the show, they really toe the line, man. It's like, I get that like you need drama for ratings and blah blah blah, but like some of the stuff that they pull just really turns my stomach.
Yeah,
you know, it's just like, but they've got a successful show. How many seasons is this now? How many years has it been on? Like, you know, I guess it's working.
I mean,
for
people
them.
always say like, oh, well, they signed up for that, but like that, like we were saying earlier, like it's a gamble, and they didn't sign up for that, and they certainly didn't sign up for the bullying and the harassment that they get. Like, people who hide behind a computer screen and bully other people. It's like, what the fuck happened to you
time
as a
do you
kid
have on
that
your
you're going to
hands?
do that to somebody?
And
like,
sometimes
I don't agree with what MJ and Anna and Victoria were saying, but I would never ever reach out to them and let them know that. Why? Like, they don't care what I fucking think, but then I'm being evil to them, just like what they were doing. And how does that make that right? Like, two wrongs don't make it right. It's so fucked.
I think the good part of the show is when it exposes an ugliness that exists with racial divides, with sex shaming, and it is so topical that it exposes things, but at the expense of real humans, at the expense of like real people that, you get to see the ugliness. And for the most part, usually the national outrage, the pendulum swings too far. The pendulum doesn't stop and hit people, it destroys them. So even if Victoria was a bully, I mean, the juice isn't worth the squeeze in any of these circumstances. Now, it's still, it's reckless, but in the end, like we said, the Bachelor, they decide what the edit is. So while
and
we
their
could
team of lawyers.
Yeah, you could be mad at Anna or this or that person, but they're the ones deciding, like, let's air this and let's amplify it and let's promote it and tease it. And at some point, it'll go too far. I mean, some contestants gonna just lose their mind.
I know. I was actually just thinking that the other day. I was like, I'm surprised that somebody hasn't like taken their life or something after this, because the amount
there was a
bullying
suicide with Gia, who was on Bachelor Nation years ago. And people said, well, she already had mental issues. It's like, well, they didn't get any better after going on the show, even if she wasn't a villain.
Exploited by producers.
Yeah, even if she wasn't a villain. I mean, it's like, and nowadays there's guys like Ben, who was on this last season, who has gotten help. But he had, I mean, they towed the line. Like, I missed it on the air, but they had mentioned that he tried to take his life twice. And I'm learning a lot. Like, don't call it committed suicide. People have corrected me that it shouldn't be called committed, because that has a negative connotation, like it's an illegal act, but it should be more like someone tried to take their life, and all these different things that you're learning, like not learning it to be woke, but learning it just to be considerate of what it actually is, like destigmatizing. Like if we can all just destigmatize certain issues, the show can help with that. But the show in some ways is decades behind where it should be with
well, even like them talking about the escort thing, and it's like it was so not pro sex work at all. And even though, yes, that would have, like, I would have never want on national television like someone accusing me of being an escort, because it does have a negative connotation. But at the same time, like, sex work is still work, and even if she was an escort, like, outing her.
No,
that's
wrong.
Really wrong.
It's wrong. I totally agree with you. I was really upset by that. They really crossed a line. And then again, like, they weren't really even distinguishing between, like, sugar daddy. People make choices about who they want to date, right? And having a preference for someone who's older or someone who can offer you security is not a crime.
No.
And I really didn't like the way that they teased that, and
I've gotten dozens of messages of people that support certain people on the show firsthand. People I went to high school with this person. I don't know if I played this for you. I got a voicemail from somebody, and essentially they were saying, my coworker told me that she knows that this X, Y, and Z happened, and I go, look, you realize this isn't productive here. This telephone call of who said what doesn't help.
My coworker's cousin went to school with so and so. Well, now
and the
now
person
you're
goes
fourth removed.
And I'm supposed to report this about a 23-year-old? Like, what are we doing here? So it gets very reckless. And I had on my 10-hour live, I did a 10-hour live stream after I hit 10,000 subscribers, and someone in the chat room was like, I'm a law student, can I weigh in on this? And I was like, sure. She Skyped in. Her name's Abby Thomason. She's so sweet, and she gave me like the down low of like potential ways that Bachelor could be held liable.
If something happened,
because they were the ones that aired a defamatory statement. So who's liable there when something clearly was said about someone who's not a sex worker, and they'd have to prove that she was in order to not in order for it not to be defamation. So it's very interesting that the most interesting part is that we're basically talking about a bunch of old guys that are producers on a show. I say old, Chris Harrison, Mike Fleiss, whatever these people are, whatever their names are. They're just cashing the check. Everyone's getting mad at Victoria. Everyone's getting mad at Anna. They're cashing the check off a 23-year-old's fake sex worker outing.
Yep.
And We watched a show. I don't want to spoil what happened. We were watching Survivor, and someone was outed as being trans. Survivor didn't tease that moment. It was outed in the tribal council. One guy said that someone else was trans, and everyone was like, "What the hell are you doing? This is great." It was by not so Survivor.
But they didn't tease it
By not teasing it, by not hyping it to the
I
the
guess
media.
we don't know because we didn't watch it.
That's true.
When it really happened, we were just like watching it
we
on
watched
Netflix
the
or Hulu or whatever.
coming up next episode.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. They on the coming up next they didn't. But yeah, I mean, it was really nice to see the reaction of the other contestants really come to this person's defense, and like.
That's their call to do. It's a dangerous world. The crimes against people, right? I mean, isn't that what it comes down to? Is like, sorry, I cut you off.
No, you didn't. I was just thinking about it.
You look so mad. I can't tell. I was like, oh, Tasha's pissed. No, that's just her face.
That's just my face.
Her
That was my thinking.
Everyone look at Tasha. This is what I got to deal with.
I was wondering, like, I wonder if their contracts. No, I was just thinking, like,
I was like, oh, she needs a massage tonight now. I owe you
and I'm frozen, and I feel like my frozen face.
All right, we're wrapping up. We're wrapping up.
Like, Bachelor for sure. They like. All the contestants sign away every freaking right. Their contracts are so thick. Like, it's crazy. I wonder if Survivor, maybe their contracts are not as much like that, or I don't know.
Maybe they've won 5 Emmys and they're just a better run show.
Or, I wonder what happens, because we sort of talked about this with what's the girl's name from Bachelor? Because you know how Bachelor, like, the producers get bonuses for XYZ. Like, I wonder if they made a deal with her. Like,
Victoria?
Brittany here, the one that was outed as a sex worker, but she wasn't, for those who don't watch.
Oh, Brittany,
I wonder if they were like, we want to keep this in. Our lawyers say it's a gray area. Would you accept payout for us to be allowed to run the story, or blah blah blah? I wonder if the same thing happens in Survivor.
I would only hope so, but I don't.
I just think that they have, like, the right to do anything
whatever they
want. Those contracts
so here's
are, like, crazy.
Here's what I heard, a very simple analogy. If you were to go ice skating somewhere, you might sign a contract that says, I won't sue you if I break my wrist. The owner of the ice skating rink can't push you over because you signed that contract.
Yeah.
So you sign a contract with certain faith. Now, the contracts that the Bachelor contestants sign, they sign a $5 million contract that if they go and spill secrets, it's a $5 million. Luke P was sued for $100,000 plus $20,000 in court fees, and he lost.
Is he actually have to pay that?
I don't know. I mean, it's up to them to decide if they want to recover. But the judge said you have to pay $120,000, and then
I can't believe they went after him.
For going on.
He
went on 4 podcasts because, and I don't know what the truth is here, but not to get too far into it, he basically thought he was manipulated because he thought Hannah Brown wasn't going to bang other guys in the fantasy suite. So what they aired was a conversation where he looked super judgy as a Christian.
Yeah.
And I can't believe I'm defending him here, but if you thought she said one thing to you and she didn't say that, he went on 4 different podcasts to tell his story. Each one he got a $25,000 fine. And it's like, Jesus Christ, talk about punching your audience in the gut, because you do have a huge Christian audience base. But I would love for them just to air the conversation in its entirety. So maybe she did say, hey, I love you and I'm not going to hook up with these guys. And then all of a sudden they're at dinner and he's like, I thought you weren't going to bang these. Like, that's a conversation worth having if you're dating someone in that reality, to understand, look, if you're going to bang those guys, by all means, go ahead, but I'm not going to stick around for that.
Yeah.
It's a weird scenario. But anyway, so yeah, he got railroaded, and it's like,
that's wacky on the part of the producers. It's like, you wouldn't have a show without contestants. And not only are they being exploited up front, just like being on the show, right?
Yeah.
But then you're going to come after them after it's over for trying to defend their character.
They have so much money.
I'm going to relate it to...
and a team of lawyers, a team of ABC lawyers.
I'm going to relate it to Amazon. So Jeff Bezos stepped down as CEO of Amazon this week, and a lot of people... And he's still a board of director. He still has all the perks, and he's still a trillionaire, but he stepped down as CEO. And a lot of people were thinking, well, he's smart, because he knows in the next couple of years, the government's coming after some of these monopolies for, like, antitrust reasons, and he doesn't want to spend his day in court and have to deal with all the BS, so he just got out early. And that's kind of like Bachelor's almost gotten too strong with the way they are wrecking people's lives. And it's not up to the Bachelor. Like, they have to understand that the media is different now, and you can't tease that someone might be a sex worker 3 weeks before the episode, because you're going to have international news, and Brittany Galvin will forever have to Google her name. And if you have a kid and you want to be, and Brittany wants to run a nursery, and you want to Google Brittany Galvin to make sure she's a good nursery person, you might go, well, this is weird, and you might not do the research in 10 years. So that's just the reality of what they're going to have to deal with. So at some point, they're going to cross the line. Bachelor's going to cross the line, and at some point, people are they're going to get sued or whatever. But it's like, where's the line?
Or they're
if it
just
going to
fall out of favor. You know what I mean? At some point, I think people will just get sick of watching like young girls' lives getting torn apart.
I don't trust people with gladiator. It's a gladiator.
We just watched last night the Britney Spears documentary that the New York Times, the Free Britney documentary that the New York Times put out. It's on Hulu.
I need to watch that.
Yeah, it was good. It's not something that I've been like particularly invested in, but I do think it's pretty fucked up that she's bing in conservatorship.
Tasha yells at the TV. I have to pause it and rewind it because she starts yelling. I'm like, don't get mad at me.
I was never a big Britney Spears fan. I mean, I grew up in that era, but she just wasn't my favorite. I liked Christina Aguilera.
Like
Turtles. You guys are weird. I'm going to go.
But I guess I never followed her that closely because I wasn't like swept up in the Britney like fandom. And so I kind of missed when it happened all of these things that were happening to her back in the day. And the documentary does a really good job of like diving into these moments where she was like scolded by Diane. Was it Diane Sawyer's? It was some famous interviewer. She did like a 60 Minutes or whatever. Diane Sawyer's.
Sex shame at 17.
Sawyer's? Was it her? But, they were just like putting, she's a teenager. She's 16, 17, however old she is.
Showing her belly.
And they're scolding her for like, but what about the children, the example that you're setting, and moms are upset with you because you make it so hard and blah, blah, blah.
But she had a great line, right?
And then,
she goes, I shouldn't be babysitting your kid.
And then with the whole Justin Timberlake breakup, Justin, and I do remember this, his album he put out really painted her as like a cheater, and that's why the relationship ended.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cry Me a River, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What was that song, Tasha?
But then in the media, they were painting her as a cheater. We don't know if that was actually true or not, or if he was just jealous, because she obviously is in the world of entertainment. She's going to be around other men. Yeah. But the media was so hard on her in a way that they would never be to men. And you see, it's like, we're watching all of this stuff 20 years later, and we're like, holy smokes, I cannot believe the way this teenage girl was treated by America, by the media, by the paparazzi. No, no one thinking of her or her best interest or how this might impact her.
Well, they look at her with dollar signs.
Exactly.
Not just her record label and her manager and all of that, but the media too.
Yeah.
Well, the best stories makes them so much money.
The best part of this documentary is really good, but there was one part when Larry King's having an interview, and everyone's profiting, the paparazzi,
she's the butt of every joke,
making money, and they're getting millions for photos of her in gas stations and crazy stuff. And then Michael Moore at the end of the interview goes, can't we just leave her alone? Like, what are we doing? She just had a kid, everyone's following her, and then it kind of cuts away and we're like, Jesus Christ, right? Like, I mean, like,
Michael Moore speaking the truth.
He was just like, why can't we just leave her alone? But like, there's a whole economy behind it. But anyway.
But no, let me just wrap it up. It's interesting to see now. We're just now shining a light 20 years later, however many 10 years later, on how poorly this young girl was treated in America. Never would have happened to a guy. And because as a result of all of this abuse that she took at the hands of the media, she obviously was, suffering from depression, maybe postpartum, whatever. Like, she may have had some, like a, what do they call, like a nervous breakdown or something. You know what I mean? Like, people go through phases in their life, and now it's very much like a part of the conversation to destigmatize mental health and all of these things. But this is brand new, and we're looking back, like, all of this stuff of her being, her actions being disapproved of by the American public and all of this outrage directed at her being fed by the media is what led to her conservatorship, which she has now been in for the past 12 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think like in the same way, we're still making those mistakes, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're still, as a country, as a collective, making those mistakes, judging women for things that they do not deserve to be judged for.
Well, we live in the patriarchy.
And
Don't at me.
And men would
She looked
never
right
be
at me.
judged in that same way. And I wonder if 10 years from now, what documentaries will say. Obviously we're growing and we're learning and we're making moves, but not fast enough.
No, definitely
Well,
not.
we're having the conversation, and that's a start. I wanted to promote your Instagram.
Yes.
It's at Look at Me. I'm Shannon Dee.
Mm-hmm.
And I did you get the Instagram story I sent you? I sent it to you a little while ago. You had an Instagram story of a hanging plant.
Oh, yeah, today.
Today.
Yeah.
Tasha's obsessed with her hanging plants. So I was like, I thought it was very funny. So I've got several connections.
I'm obsessed
You guys are
with them.
Christina Aguilera. Turtle fans with hanging plants.
Plants.
You guys have got more in common than you might have thought. Anything else we can promote? We'll put the link to the YouTube miniseries.
Yeah,
my
my web series. Yeah,
Not
from around here. And then the Instagram is not from around here, and the O and around is a 0. I mean, it's just in my bio of my Instagram, so you can just go to my Instagram. But it's a sci-fi comedy, but you don't have to like sci-fi to be into it. It's kind of like Broad City Workaholics, like kind of New Girl humor. And
You'll get some supportive commenters from our group because we have some really nice people that have been so generous.
Awesome.
So I know
Yeah,
that
check it
you'll
out.
be like, who's so and so? And I'll be like, you're getting peanut butter. It's coming.
Yes.
But thanks
I
again for
love
coming
peanut
on, and
butter.
hopefully you can come back on when we're on our Palm Springs like backyard that we're creating at our new place.
Their new place is really nice. I saw pics.
Yeah, we're so excited for that. And so that was anything, Tasha, you need to promote over there, Miss Tasha?
No,
Mark?
nothing to promote. Instagram at Tasha Courtney.
And
that's it.
we're going to be making, Tasha and I are going to be making our new house tour and renovation videos. So I know some people
nice.
love that renovation porn.
Yes.
So you can go tune in for that. But that's it from us. I'm at DNealz, DNEALZ on Instagram. If anyone wants to go follow me over there. But thanks again for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. This was so
Bye,
fun.
everybody.
Bye.
Solid just now.
I'm shaking like a chihuahua.
SAP